Welcome back to Talking to Teachers. My name is Will Sakudis, and I'm here with special guest Mr. Meehan, Director of Mission. So Mr. Meehan, first year doing the overnight junior retreats, and obviously we got the Kairos going again with the seniors. How did they go this year? Did they exceed your expectations?
Yes, they did exceed my expectations. The overnight upperclassmen retreats have become central to really the core mission of CBA, which is faith formation, which was LaSalle's overarching goal. I'll talk about both. We added the junior overnight this year in light of the recent success of the senior Kairos retreat.
Right.
The Kairos retreat it was piloted in 2023, the class of 23. 2 of the 4 groups had the full 2-night senior Kairos. Class of 24 was our first class to have a full Kairos retreat. Everyone, all 4 groups went through the 2-night Kairos.
So only last year was the first one?
Was the first time the whole senior class went on Kairos. Just yesterday we finished the 4th and final Kairos for the class of 25. I have been overjoyed with the impact that it's had on the young men. That retreat, while we can't talk in depth about everything that happens on Kairos, Kairos is a Greek word that means divine time. It's a time for seniors, young adults, as they are now basically college freshmen, to chart a course for adult faith, to challenge themselves, to recognize God in a more concrete way. So what we did this year, considering how impactful Kairos is and how unique it is, we added the junior overnight retreat, which I know you yourself enjoyed,
it was great.
which I appreciate. The junior overnight is a 1-night overnight preparing for the 2-night Kairos, and the junior overnight is what we would call a stepping stone retreat. It recognizes juniors as having already taken their first steps into young adulthood, and it is an earlier challenging of them to start to see how, in a practical way, the real presence of God has been working in their life their first 3 years. And it prepares them in a spiritual, intellectual manner for the very powerful senior Kairos retreat. So I just finished 8 retreats over the course of about 2 months. I want to also thank the faculty and the staff. Between presenters and chaperones who stayed overnight, we probably had 20 of the faculty assist me with those retreats.
That's awesome.
Yes, so it's really been phenomenal.
Yeah, so obviously, you're teaching these kids a lot. I know, the response from my classmates was phenomenal. Everybody loved the retreats, the junior overnight. But what do you think the kids have been able to teach you on these retreats?
Yeah, what they've really taught me, or I would say have shown me, is a desire to grow in faith, a desire to understand what God might possibly be in a more adult manner. Because when we're children, we get a vision of God in the clouds. And while I think that's fine for children, I think now with our juniors and seniors entering into young adulthood, what I've gotten from them is that they are somewhat hungry, spiritually and intellectually, to consider God on a deeper level in their life. Also, what I've received is recognition that our upperclassmen are some of the most open, mature, kind, and faith-filled 17 and 18-year-olds that I've ever worked with. And I've been in LaSallian education for almost 25 years, having run overnight retreats like these. And I've really learned, to answer your question, what I've gotten from them is inspiration, a desire to grow spiritually, and a goodness, an openness that inspires me to do even more with the retreat. So we've really grown the program.
Wow, that's awesome. I know you can't, speak too much on what goes on, but I know we had a great time. We, played games, had a blast, really learned a lot. Yeah. Can you go over the format a little bit, or what goes on?
Yeah, I'll go over the format. Especially for the Kairos retreat, but also for the junior retreat to a lesser degree. There's 3 or 4 pillars. The first one is in-depth staff sharing. The staff really share many elements of their personal lives and their own journey of faith, seeing the gifts they've received from God, as well as some of the obstacles they've had in their life that have challenged them to grow. That's the first part of the format, is that the students are treated to in-depth personal sharing from faculty and staff. The second pillar is a small group component, but a more in-depth small group component than the freshman and sophomore retreats. And trust me, those are great retreats. Mr. Savarino, Mr. O'Connor do an incredible job running our underclassmen retreats. But the second pillar of these older retreats is more in-depth young adult small groups based on the talks that have been heard. And then thirdly is a third pillar of the format is prayer. An introduction to prayer at the adult level, engaging in contemplative prayer, conversation with God, and a challenge to really not just hear the words, but feel the words of the prayers and the prayerful meditations that are a part of these retreats, including an opportunity for a reconciliation service to receive the sacrament of reconciliation. And the fourth and final part of the format of the retreats is actual retreat time, as you mentioned. Time to just be. We go to San Alfonso in Long Branch, right on the ocean. It gives guys an opportunity to get outside, get disconnected from their cell phones, as you know. Spend time outside, whether it's playing spike ball, throwing the football, sitting on Adirondack chairs, talking for juniors, talking about senior year hopes, for seniors, talking about their college plans. Time to unplug, time to rest. So when you put together the adult presentations with the small groups, with the time for true adult prayer and reflection, reconciliation, and time to relax, these are extremely powerful retreats. I would add that I've been so blessed to receive probably 220 emails since last year regarding both the Kairos retreats in 24 and 25 and the junior retreats this year, affirming what we're doing from both parents and juniors and seniors themselves. So the Holy Spirit has blessed me with a validation that our mission at CBA to foster faith always has to take the lead.
Yeah, wow. I just know, I can remember me and my classmates doing all those things that you just said, and it was really kind of reflected the community that we talk about here at CBA a lot. And it was really, palpable throughout the whole retreat. I want to thank you for that.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Kairos retreat next year.
And congratulations on your newly minted presidency.
Appreciate that.
Well deserved.
Yeah. What do you think? Is there anything you would change about the future retreats, or do you think it all went?
So, no, that's a good question. I mean, we've these retreats were started by many, many incredible people. I think of people prior to my time, for sure. I think of Mr. Sunnig, who recently retired, and Mr. Butler. Mr. Sunnig was the first to incorporate some elements of the Kairos retreat into the senior retreat. So what we've done is we've added and we've just made them a bit fuller. So we are constantly looking to offer better platforms for retreat. I think, to answer your question directly, if anything, we'll continue to look at the freshman and sophomore retreats. Again, I mentioned that Mr. Savarino and Mr. O'Connor do a wonderful job. But as we continue to assess the experience of the juniors and the seniors on Kairos, in the next year or two, we'll take that experience and look back at the freshman and sophomore and say, should we start pointedly preparing them in freshman and sophomore retreats for the junior overnight and the senior Kairos. So that'll certainly be a part of our strategic plan for retreat development.
Awesome. Yeah. So last thing, I know, we're in the Lenten season right now, approaching Easter. How do you think the retreats really reflect this season that we're in?
That's a great question, because I really think when you schedule retreats, sometimes other things are factors that require you to schedule at different times each year. The fact that almost all of the 8 overnight retreats were during Lent this year, I don't think that's a mistake. Lent is such an opportunity, as we all know, to stop and to pause and to challenge ourselves to recognize the example of Christ and how we can become more Christ-like, how we can become better. Reflections of our Catholic Christian faith.
Which is a major theme on the retreats.
Exactly, the retreats naturally, in many ways, all of these 8 retreats were a Lenten reflection opportunity. When guys leave junior retreat, and particularly when guys leave senior Kairos, there is this challenge to bring back some of what they gain and put into practice greater reflection of the hands, the eyes, and the heart of Christ. Reflecting, as St. Teresa of Avila said, the hand, the heart, and the eyes of Christ through action. Just yesterday, leaving Kairos, the last Kairos, I said to the seniors, the peace and the faith power that you feel here for the rest of Lent, bring it into the hallways of CBA. Bring it into your family gatherings. Look for the presence of God more and reflect the presence of God more, which after all is what Christ calls us to do, especially during Lent.
Exactly. And I just want to touch on something that you said in my retreat that really stuck with me. It was, that feeling that we felt during the retreat, kind of like the actual retreat part, being with each other. Like that's how we should live every day. And it kind of, influenced me to try to be like that more in my home life and like in school. Just have that sense of community and like camaraderie.
Thanks for sharing that. And that's that perfect idea that the peace and the goodness we feel on a retreat is probably what God intends the real world to be every day. So hearing that you've taken that and tried to make that a reality is awesome.
Well, I want to thank you again for coming on Talking Teachers.
My pleasure.
And
God bless.
Making an impact in my peers, and the seniors. I'm excited for next year. Can't wait.
I'm looking forward to having you, and I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of Lent and happy Easter.
Thank you, Mr. Meehan.
All right. God bless. My pleasure.